Okay, there's always a delay when this starts up, but I believe we're live now, so let's begin. Ready, set, go. I'm Glenn, City Bandit Fishing Field Team, COAF Field Team on YouTube, and this round we're talking the Real Cast Fishing Podcast, and this is a partnership that we did previously, and now we're picking it up again, calling it Real Cast Fishing, and in this case, we're going to kick things off with a 2023 recap. Really just looking at what was done over the past year, and maybe it might trigger some info or ideas for what to do for 2024. So let's go start out right here under the video section. This was January 3, 2023. You can see I started out the year with some talks of trying out microfly fishing. In fact, this was the first fish of the year that I'd caught. So that was how we started the year. Shifted right into some catfish fishing using centerpin rod and reel, and that one was pretty good. In fact, I ended up getting 2 of those. So I plan on picking up that again here in the next few weeks, if not days, because centerpin fishing is pretty fun. It's a concept where you're using a reel that looks like a fly reel, but it uses straight monofilament line. And the thing I picked up about it is it has no drag, so you can actually cast it, and the reel just kind of move along slowly. And well, it seems to work really well. Okay, it's saying I'm coming in and out of YouTube right now, so let's just make sure. Okay, I think we're good. Stream settings, analytics. Yeah, okay, we're still good. Okay, so that was center pin, shifted on to more fishing flies, fly tying. There is one where I picked up a limit over there at Waterloo at the beginning of the year. So this is the trout stocking season. Go up till about, I believe, March time frame. So a good opportunity to try catching a fish or 2 right now. So last year, 2023, that's how we kicked things off with some trout fishing. Some other things that I picked up over here that'll probably happen here in the next few is checked out a couple of places. One was a place in Rockwall where they did trout stocking at a small pond. Never been there before. It was pretty interesting to see some happenings there. And then checked out the Warren Sports Complex in Frisco when they stocked it. And I kind of like the Frisco Commons when they stocked that pond initially, because it was much better, or easier to catch fish. The other one is pretty, well, Warren Sports is a lot bigger pond, more like a lake. Let's see. You can also see how I'm kind of shifting from January, February stocking, trout fishing, and then I'm shifting over to pond fishing, trying to see what's kind of lurking starting around the March, April time frame. And really, after TRWD Fly Fest, March time frame, I'll shift completely over to pond fishing. And really, between pond fishing and go and hit the local lake and kayak fishing again, there's that 1, 2, 3 month window where I'm mainly just fishing ponds, and that's because, well, it's kind of chilly, and I prefer to not get wet in the kayak while I'm out there trying to catch a fish or 2. So you'll see that I'll focus more on ponds. And guess what happens during the I guess March time frame? March, February, March, April, May ish. The bass are spawning, and the bluegill or the bass are on beds, and you got a good opportunity, probably get a bigger bass than you normally would fishing elsewhere or other times of the year. And in fact, I think I got the biggest bass I've caught were around that time frame. February, March, April. Okay, so with the pond fishing, I shifted over to, let's see, more pond fishing. Some bass, some more pond fishing. This is April time frame. Shifting into May, I start hitting the local lake, Lake Lavon, kayak fishing right here. It was very windy day when I went last year, but things went pretty well after that. And so you can see I'm kind of playing it by ear and whatnot. Did some GoPro mobile fishing live streams. So that's the case where I found out that you can take your Hero 8, I think Hero 8 and above GoPro, you can sync it with your phone wirelessly, and you're able to put your GoPro, and while you have your phone in your pocket, you'll be able to cast live, and you can get, well, mistakes and all. And I definitely had a lot of mistakes as well as successes fishing the different ponds using that GoPro mobile fishing live stream. So for 2024, I anticipate some more of those happening, as well as more of these Let's Talk Fishing series, where in this case, I'm just recapping 2023. Maybe we'll talk about 2024 also. So, hey, for those that are joining on the live stream, definitely ping. I think I've got the chat piece going, so you can, let's see if I can say it. Hi. I'm monitoring that if you have any questions. But for now, just really just going over 2023, beginning of the year, going into mid-year. So April, May, June. Now I'm starting to hit the local pond, or away from the local ponds, and going back to the lake and doing some kayak fishing. However, I did get caught up in a couple of things. Ultralight Bait Finesse Systems fishing BFS. Fishing, ultralight bait casting, basically casting 1/16th ounce lures and on a bait caster using really light line, and just kind of upping my game there. Main reason why I was using that more often than not than my ultralight spin caster is more control, as well as I felt like I could fight the fish better, especially some of those bigger ones. In fact, I did get an 8-pounder using the Ultralight Bait Finesse Systems gear while I was up in Oklahoma. So, hey, that stuff can really make it happen. Shifting there, there's some more kayak fishing. In fact, I posted a kayak fishing video marathon. This is just the past activities of kayak fishing the local area, specifically mainly Lake Lavon, but also Texoma. Did some quick recaps, catching cooks here and there. Also did a John boat video marathon. What I'm doing there is dusted off the John boat, put on some not new paint, just kind of cleaned it up a little, and then added a little seat for my significant other and the Dougie. And you can see that there's the Dougie. And what I'm doing there is taking out the Suzuki 2.5 horsepower little kicker motor that works well. Don't have to paddle, and you can just kind of take it out. Used it for trolling, but it seems to go a little bit faster than I want for trolling, especially the for white bass. You got to kind of slow it down a little bit when you're fishing there. So I kind of troll for white bass in a kayak and shift over to the John boat, mainly to use a motor to get me somewhere in a particular portion of the lake, and then anchoring and then putting out some shad for bait, catch some shad and whatnot, and make it happen. Here's the the nice size 8-pounder that was caught on the BFS Systems gear that I was using right here. And then here I picked up the mobile live streaming in a box. So I took a ATEM HDMI switcher, and that and put it in a toolbox, and that allows me to take the gear on the fly and do some mobile live streaming, not just on a GoPro, but having 2 cameras, possibly more. I can do more, up to 4 sources. So that one I plan on using. I was going to do more of it last year, but things got a little sidetracked because, well, yours truly is now in, well, I got a new member of the field team last year, and he's my grandson. So I kind of get shifted over to that as well. So anyhow, mobile live streaming, intent there is to take this and be able to get you some on-stream reports as to what I'm seeing out there. I was going to use it more at TRWD Fly Fest. In fact, I'll probably use it there, but it won't be able to take the whole event. But I should be able to get portions of the event and do some live streaming using that mobile capability, so that you guys get an idea as to what's happening out there at TRWD Fly Fest, upcoming here in March 2024. Okay, a couple of breakthroughs that panned out in 2023. The self-setting jug lines. So for the longest time, I'd be going out there kayak fishing, and I'd put out my lines, and I spent most of the time unwrapping the line, getting it to the right depth, setting the bait and whatnot. And then once I get the first set out, everything's going fine. I can do what I need to and recast, rebait fairly quickly. But that initial set, as well as pickup, well, it took a little bit more work than I wanted to. So with these self-setting jug lines, I'm pre-baiting the jugs. I go out with the kayak, dump out 3, go to another spot, dump out 3, and then I come back around, and I'm pretty much just already fishing, just watching for any hooks that's there. So do check out that video. It's a good one. I'm very happy with the self-setting jug lines. It does make life easier, especially with working in the small confines of a kayak. Let's see. The other thing is, this is probably now about maybe 10 years now, where I started using the paracord tennis ball stringer. What happened there was I got heads up from someone saying, hey, use paracord and use your shower clips as a stringer. And you put a tennis ball on the end or some kind of float, and all you're doing is clipping and unclipping the fish while it's in the while you're holding it in the kayak, and you're not losing it. If it drops, it falls into the kayak instead of in the water. Well, I see. I think a subscriber came back and says, hey, instead of using those shower clips, use these laundry pins. And I've been using those laundry pins for a while now, and I've been really happy with it. It's a lot stronger, tighter hold, more secure, so they don't twist off. And it's got that sharp point, so I'm able to poke it through the fish's mouth, especially the catfish's mouth, and get it on there. Let's see, mobile live streaming game. This is just where I'm just talking about this. It's a cover that goes onto your GoPro. In this case, I use the Hero 8, and it has a foamy cover that goes right on top. And next thing you know, sounds really good. You don't have to worry about the wind noise and all that. Additionally, I believe it's got I think this is the rig where I'm using a brick or power bank that's feeding directly into the Hero, and I'm able to stream for hours instead of under an hour. I think in some cases, especially when it's cold, I only get like maybe 30 minutes on the live stream. So take a look at that one. That's a good one. More pond fly fishing. This is the GoPro mobile fishing live stream setup where I'm going out, and this is the edited version. So I have a live version, then I do an edited one, and in there you'll see all the mistakes and everything from the live version. But when I follow up with the edited version, so if you're not able to see the whole live stream and whatnot, the edited one is one where it takes you to the action. So either I'm pointing out something in particular that I want to call out while I'm out there in the field fishing, or I'm catching a fish, so you definitely want to see that action, as well as I kind of take out some of the oopses, mistakes, and make myself look a little bit professional than I normally am. Not that I am unprofessional. All right, so let's have some more coffee here. And again, I'm simulcasting this as a podcast in the Real Cast Fishing Podcast. This is the Let's Talk Fishing series. There's another series that I'm hosting that is the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing series, and that one is talking mainly of some tips in the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. And as I get through with that series, I'll probably shift over to another book or other medium that is talking fishing and has some good information. Because as our model says at the City of Valley Fishing Field Team, COAF Field Team on YouTube, is learn to fish by our trials and errors. Because we definitely had a lot of trials, we definitely had a lot of errors, and well, we're having a lot of success too. So lots of fun. We're average Joes, so we're not out there hitting these places that well, are pretty expensive to go to. In fact, it's mainly just the local area, North Texas, Oklahoma area, and then trips to the coast, specifically usually the Rockport, Cubano Bay area, as well as Galveston and Port Aransas, as well as Corpus Christi. Kind of work that area over there, at least once, twice, maybe more a year. But we're mainly average Joes, so you're not hearing us talk about the really fancy stuff. Do talk gear though. Got a lot of gear, got a lot of fishing poles and all that, but it's an accumulation of fishing for a while, for a good while. All right, let's get back to the recap of 2023. So you can see how I'm kind of shifting over throughout. This is the August time frame now, and here I'm kind of shifting over to pointing out some key things that I believe would be helpful for those that are wanting to take up fly fishing as well as fishing in general. So in this one, I'm talking of fly fishing and taking that step further, fly tying. And so you'll see throughout the year, I'll post these quick tie fly fishing videos, or fly tying videos pointing out a particular fishing fly that is working for yours truly, and just want to share the wealth and knowledge of, hey, this is how you can tie it. And one thing that I like about fly fishing is fly tying, and it's not that it's like you can quickly make a lure fishing fly that you've done with your hands, made with your hands, and now you're catching a fish with it. You've gotten a fish to strike, and well, he's happy to take it, and you're happy to catch it, and you did it all with your own hands. And so that's why I'm talking here of taking your fly fishing experience, hobby to another level by making your own flies now. And the other thing about making your own flies is, well, you'll tend to be more aggressive in fishing it. You know, knowing that you have several fishing flies, backups that you can either readily make and not have to wait to order or wait for a store to open to get them. You can make them yourselves. So you'll fish more aggressively with your fishing flies. And then one thing I call out is when you are taking up the sport of fly fishing and you're moving up to the fly tying portion of it, don't have to buy the whole kit and materials and all that to make every single fishing fly. Instead, when you're taking up fly tying, my suggestion is take the fishing fly that you catch the most fish with, that you tend to use day in, day out. Learn to tie that one. Focus on the material to make that fishing fly, and then use it. Tie them, fish them, lose them, retie, make more, but bottom line, you'll pick up your game that way. Instead, if you try making all these different fishing flies, a lot of them you'll end up, well, you possibly may never use them. So better to tie something that you're going to use. And typically, most people will start with something simple as an olive woolly bugger or a woolly bugger. That one catches everything. I tie a variant of it, the near deer, and then additionally you can tie some really simple ones like a San Juan worm or the San Juan worm ball. It's similar to a San Juan worm, but instead of one, you've added 4 San Juan worms and made them into a ball. And well, I've used them to catch catfish that way. Okay, moving on. Here's our run to the coast, as well as a little call out on a particular microphone that I like using that sounds really well. I use it on my phone to capture the audio for some of the videos, shorts that I post. There is a call out on hooks. Are they legal for sharks fishing in Texas? So if you look in the regulations, buried in there, there is a requirement for it to be non-stainless steel. It has to be a circle hook, and uh, it cannot be offset. So it has to be a straight shaft with the bend and everything. So you got to make sure that those are in place if you're going to do any shark fishing in Texas, because, well, it's in the regs. And, well, I don't know why, but it is a regulation. So I go ahead and make sure that that's what I'm fishing with. Did not know that, but learned it as I went over the regulations a couple years back. Okay, the shark rig with trimmer line. This is our run to the coast of Galveston. Did really well, catching some nice fish, to include some sharks as well as this big stingray. Took a lot of folks on the pier to help us bring that one up. But what's interesting about that one is I'm using a shark rig with trimmer line, like weed eater trimmer line, like when you're gonna go do your lawn and trim the edges and whatnot. And in there, I just talk of the line that I'm using, as well as the terminal tackle and gear that I use to make those. Ever since I shifted to that, I've not had a terminal tackle break off anymore. It's always been either the line or some kind of cutoff or whatnot. In one case, we had one straight in the hook, so I guess we got to use bigger hooks for those. But have not had any issues with the trimmer line shark rig. So do check that one out. Easy to find. Just search for it on our on our YouTube channel, COAF Field Team, and you can look it up. Do a quick search. Make a shark rig with trimmer line. Excuse me. Still getting over a little cough here. All right, let's have some coffee. Okay. But anyways, take a look at that one. I've used that year in, year out, and I plan to use that again in 2024. Okay, try kayak fishing using slab and jig rigs. So here, I'm shifting away from just these catch and watch me catch fish things, and instead, what I find is more helpful. And I went back to our motto: learn to fish by our trials and errors. I tend to notice that most folks tune in on two reasons for tuning into a YouTube channel. One is entertainment, and two is you want to learn something. There's something that visually you want to see someone demo how they did something. And so you'll see that my channel shifts over to that, sticking to the motto: learn to fish by our trials and errors. All right. Okay, so do check that one out. Slab and jig rigs. Also talk about bottom bouncing, back paddling, especially if you're kind of working a point. I tend to kayak fish, but I tend to use my kayak versus my fishing pole to actually do the fish and make any movement, impart any action to the lure, etc. So keep that in your back pocket. Here I'm just doing a call out on 15 pounds of lead, make a lot of fishing weights. So one thing I picked up over the runs to the coast is making those spider weights or claw weights that you use for surf fishing. If you purchase them at different stores and whatnot on the coast, it's pretty expensive. And so I was like, I already have some gear to make lead weights and jigs and whatnot. So I went ahead and got a bunch of lead and got the mold to make the spider weight. And, well, I don't buy them anymore. I just make them myself. All right, shifting on, continuing on throughout the remainder of the year. You can see here's one where I'm talking about the Okuma Rockaway lightweight carbon saltwater surf rod. Well, what's happened there is I've shifted over and made a run to Denison Dam, and I recalled, hey, maybe this might be something useful for some of the folks, because I'll see a lot of folks go out to Denison Dam, our local tail race to Texoma, and they're using some really, really heavy gear. I mean, I don't know how you can cast lures and whatnot all day with those. And so, um, one thing I was just suggesting here from trial and error is to go with a lightweight rod. I mean, this is a 12-foot rod still. It's got some good capability to pull in some nice sized fish, but I can cast a lot longer than some of my other heavy surf excuse me, surf casting gear. In fact, I think there's one, I've caught gar in this picture or this video that I'm showing, but I did have an opportunity to catch, I'd say it's like maybe a 4 or 5 foot gar, and well, he straightened my hook, so that was a bummer. Okay, but I could cast all day, so I just need to make sure one that well, that I have that that gear ready to go next time I make another run for some of those gars. So do keep that in your back pocket as well. And oh, here I want to do some little sound effects. All right, I'm learning this podcasting and these different ways to be able to make it less boring. You know, because well, if you're in the car driving along and you kind of just get into your normal commute drive, hey, maybe it might be good to listen in on our podcast. Keep that in your back pocket. Real Cast Fishing Podcast, located or we're posted in iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Amazon, Spotify, etc. All right, just do a real quick search and you'll see us there. Okay, let's shift on. Don't lose a big fish. Make sure you have a pure net. Here, this is at Run the Coast, August time frame of 2023, and this is one where I fought a nice size stingray for a good 30 minutes, and then I handed off to my fishing buddy, and then we handed off to another individual fishing on the pier, and we finally got him on up to the pier where we could land him. But then when we pulled the pier net out and got him in the pier net, it basically took another 9 folks to get that up onto the pier, hauling it up there, and it was interesting. It was, I think, over 4 or 5 feet wide. Sure was fun though. Okay, so that one I'm just calling it out. Bring a pier net when you go fishing to the coast, because you never know what's going to bite. There's some big stuff out there. Okay, let's see. Also, 2023, I was doing a bunch of DIY informational videos, and here's one where I'm just calling out making your own do-it-yourself floating tip and using the OPST commando head. I pretty much use a shooting head pretty much on all my fly fishing gear now. Most of them is the what do you call it? Oh, I see Will just joined. Hi, Will. How's it going? Just doing a quick, well, not a quick, just going over 2023 and some key items that we were posting. Doing this live simulcast to our podcast, Real Cast Fishing Podcast. So, good morning, Will. Thanks for joining. Okay, that was the do-it-yourself floating tip, and doing some other things in 2023 related to some do-it-yourselfers. Let's go shift over to, let's see, that was continuing on the August time frame. Okay, so some more call outs. In this case, I'm talking about the Penn Squall reel and the Daiwa Sea Line rod. This one, what I was doing there, and I haven't done it more recently, but I would take a surf casting rod and set up a slab and jig sabiki rig, but I would put it like a slab on the to give it heavy weight, and then I'd put 3-4 jigs, be it crappie jigs or sabiki flies that I make out of some mylar, out of some packaging like a Belvita snack or Doritos or Fritos, and I'll work the point, windy point, and just yank it out there as far as I can, and then reel it back in. And lo and behold, you'll be surprised what'll hit, especially during the that time of year when you're out on the lake fishing these windy points, and the white bass and yellow bass, as well as some catfish, are kind of lingering in those areas. So I did that in 2023. Well, I'll probably do that again in 2024. All right. Did some call outs related to getting started in, in ultralight bait casting and really, excuse me, and really what I'm calling out there is the bait finesse systems. And initially someone had pinged me and saying, hey, you ought to get started in ultralight bait casting, BFS. And I looked at some of the pricing on some of those, and well, there's some crazy prices for some of those reels. And yeah, it's awesome to be able to catch or to cast a 1/16 ounce lure bait casting style like you're bass fishing. But I don't really want to spend that much. But then I found out about the KastKing Zephyr bait casting reel, and that one I got for well under $100, and it could be on sale now off and on. But they've got two models now, and I've got both. One has a reel clicker, one doesn't, and they work well. I've got it paired with a $25 rod, fiberglass rod that I picked up at Bass Pro. And then, oh, by the way, I got addicted to it, so I went ahead and bought a more pricey version of a bait casting, ultralight bait caster, the Shimano Scorpion 17. And, well, I've been happy with it. I actually took that one out to the coast, doing some speckled trout, sand trout fishing with the old school speckled trout tandem rigs under the lights. And I tell you what, it was pretty fun catching some saltwater fish on that ultralight bait casting gear. So keep that in your back pocket. Also call out the Tenkara USA Iwana. I got a Tenkara rod. I started out with an old Tenkara rod from way back. And then picked up this one, and I have another one, a smaller one. But in any case, I like having those just because when we're out and about, especially in the local areas, Katy Trail back in Dallas and whatnot, I'll be walking the trail with my significant other, and she won't let me bring my fishing pole, but I can sneak in the Tenkara rods and just kind of throw it in my backpack. And oh, by the way, I see something that may be containing fish. Well, guess what? I guess I must catch a fish or two while I'm there. Yep. I gotta figure out with some of that. Anyhow, I do have something more recent. It's a hand line that I made as well as bought, and that's gonna be even sneakier. What do you say? Sneaky. Anyways, Tenkara rod, the various ones, mainly got them so I can just put them in my little backpack, as well as, well, I'm getting into some hand line fishing as well. And I can definitely put that in my backpack and keep that under wraps, as well as catch a fish or two. All right. Let's see. Here I'm shifting again, talking about lures, different gear and whatnot to try. Talking about the center pin again. This is where I went ahead and got two of those. And then reminder about the Texas shark fishing. It works for catfish too. So those hooks that I was using to catch shark, it's the legal ones that are non-stainless, non-offset circle hooks. I was using those also for some catfish fishing, and I definitely got a nice size one this past year. 38 inches. Yeah, it was big. I had to bring him in from my kayak and land him on shore. But I think on that same trip, I did have one break off the line as well as I was headed back to shore. So, oh well. Another call out on the wind noise on my GoPro Hero 8, where it's this styrofoam or foamy little cover that cuts down on the wind noise, and that's kind of why I was able to bring the GoPro mobile fishing live stream videos out there for those that wanted to see those. Let's see, September, I'm just calling out some key things in preparation for, well, guess what, where we're at now, the trout fishing season. So here I'm calling out starter combo for catching fish and whatnot, and then additionally talking about some lures to use for this trout season, which hint, 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 rooster tail, super tail, Mepps anglia, Panther martins, inline spinners, the super duper, bang the table and say, hey, probably need to keep those in your back pocket. I'm also calling out high vis fishing line. So especially on the coast, I'll use this really high vis fishing line so that I can see my line in the water as it enters into the water, and I can get a feel for where it is and what's it's doing, be it current wise. And just the big recommendation there. Got a hold of one of those Rapala X wraps and put it on the baitcaster ultralight bait casting gear, and I definitely noticed there were a lot of bass that I was catching at this one local pond. So really happy with that one. Call out a couple of fly reels. In this case, the Echo Ion fly reel where I'm using it, and I recommend them. I've got the whole line. Bottom line, I dropped it in the water. It fell off my fly reel because the reel seat came loose and got some sand in it, and I was able to just shake it in the water, and I was back up and running fishing again. Going into the kayak fishing, just a reminder to you about the Railblaze rod holder for fly rods. 2 reasons I liked it was when I'd go kayak fishing, I'd post it in the front so I can see my rod in front of me instead of having to keep looking back. And then at the same time, it has a mechanism that'll hold the fly rod in place versus some of the other rod holders that I was using. So, hey, it's good to have. More on pond fishing, different lures that I used. There was a local lake that was named after yours truly, where I work in Arlington, Texas. It's a private pond, but luckily I do have special permission since I work in that area to fish this pond. And it does hold some really nice size bass. And guess what? It's a great test ground for these different lures that I've used over the years. And well, there's some nice size bass as well as some nice size bluegill that really like some of these different lures that I've tried. It's like a great test ground for finding out what's lurking in a particular pond. Okay. A couple of call outs. The cork strike indicator. This is this cork strike indicator that I like using. Extra small. I use it across the board. I like them along with the airlocks and the Oros. But for some reason, I just keep finding those in my fly vest, and I keep using those over the course of the season. Good thing about them is made out of cork, so they're kind of natural, and they've got this little rubber O-ring that keeps it from slipping up and down the fly leader that you're using. And additionally, as long as you keep in your back pocket to use only the largest or size strike indicator that will keep your fly at the desired depth when you're fishing with a strike indicator, then that's the one you should use. So you don't want to have one of these huge strike indicators, you know, almost the size of a balloon or a bobber, a huge bobber. You want to go small. You don't need to go with a huge strike indicator, aka bobber. All right, I'm calling out a favorite fishing rig for the tail race. It's basically the float and jig rig over there at Denison Dam. I've used that over the course of the years, and what I like about it is I can shift from fishing bottom or to top by just being able to undo the weight or the fly, or not the fly, but the float, and I'm in business. So if the fishing on top, they shift the fishing on down on the bottom. I don't have to re-rig everything. I just undo the float or the weight, and I'm able to shift. Okay. Talking about fly tying, the bubble fly rig, this particular bait bucket. In fact, I liked it so much when I was on the coast. I got this bait bucket so I can troll with it, catch some live bait, and put it in the kayak, and it troll behind me, and I'm able to keep the fish alive. In fact, when I was on the coast this past summer, I ended up using this to keep some live bait for several days just by keeping them in there, putting them in the bucket in the water, and just letting the current circulate the water. I had some of there for a good 3-4 days, no problem. In fact, I let them go. Okay, let's see. Be sure to keep this fly fisherman keep this. This is when I hit a pond, and in there, I was using the caddis fly, a dry fly, and hey, keep that in your back pocket when you're fishing these different ponds and whatnot. It does well when the fish are tending to hit on the surface. It will definitely be a positive thing to have one of these caddis flies in your fly box. I tend to keep them in a size 14, uh, and it's good for bluegill. I will get a few bass that way also, usually smaller, but I mainly keep those in there just to be ready. Okay, here I'm using a Mepps Anglia inline spinner. Okay, talking about that one. So I'm shifting. Um, things have picked up in the year, and I'm not able to fish on the local lake as much. So you notice I'm starting to shift back to pond fishing. So it's more opportunistic fishing. So things got busy at my day job, and instead of able to hit the local lake and do some kayak fishing that time of year, and this is September now. I'm now just kind of any opportunity to fish, I'm taking it. In this case, it was any opportunity to fish a pond, I'm taking it. So I did that. More microfly rods and talking of that because I did have a call out there about the microfly rod I was using in a past video. Additionally, talking about this is one where I went kayak fishing at Lake Texoma, and I was using jig and flute rigs, and it was really chilly that year. I think it was October time frame, and I had these fish grips that made a big difference in being able to get a hold of the striped bass, so I can excuse me, so I can get them unhooked and back in the boat. Okay, don't leave doggy at home. So I got a little Maltese, cute little dog. Thinks he's bigger than he is, and he definitely loves the water. But well, you don't know if he'll be able to swim a long time, especially if he's in the john boat with you, or the kayak. So we got him a little life vest, and he's good to go now. He's jumped in the water on purpose, uh, and that vest was no problem. It was good to have. So, anyways, don't leave doggy at home. Get him a life vest, a personal floating device. Uh, Here I'm calling out the Berkeley mouse tail for trout. Getting ready to go into September, October. Guess what? Things are going to pick up with the trout fishing here in the next couple of months, or at least back then. So I just want to give everyone a heads up. Hey, keep these mouse tails in mind. In the video that I showed for this, it's yours truly catching one of those 20-inch rainbow trout bruisers that they stock over there at TRWD Fly Fest on the banks of the Trinity by the Acme headquarters in Fort Worth. So that's always a fun one. Okay, deadly combo for sand trout, sabiki rig. So while I was on the coast this past year, earlier this year, we hit Galveston and we were fishing Seawolf Park, and we noticed some of the locals were using sabiki rigs with a little fish bite piece on there, and they were just tearing them up on the sand trout and speckled trout. So hey, match the pattern, do like the locals do. I did the same, and guess what? I was able to catch a lot of the bait that we used to catch some of those bigger fish. All right, that we we later caught over there at the pier. Okay, let's shift on. I think we're getting close to the tail end of this. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so we're September, October time frame. Again, just talking more of pond fishing, different lures and whatnot, as well as local pond fishing, because day job again got me sidetracked. So my opportunity for fishing is, hey, whatever I can, I'm gonna go fish, and in this case, it's ponds. Did make the trip to Galveston, and I'm just calling out a few things that we found helpful. The haywire twist tool, so I could take some malin wire and make my own rigs and whatnot. That was helpful. So in fact, I got that haywire twist tool, and I'm ready to go for next year. Getting poked by these gaff tops, that was kind of painful. Ended up getting poked several times. So use this little gripper thing that keeps you from getting poked, and so I call that one out. went back to fishing on ponds, and I remembered, hey, super glue. Keep that in your back pocket. Super glue and Yamasenko's keep you catching bass. Well, that video is talking about or demonstrating how I will use a Senko till I make it into a Ned rig. So what I'm doing there is, you know how the tip of the Senko where you put your hook point in eventually gets torn up and starts ripping. Well, you can either pinch it and use it a little bit longer, just a little bit shorter, but so you can still keep using a little longer, or you can take some super glue and squish it on there, and you can keep fishing. And do the same in the body portion where you run that hook. You can put some super glue and you can fish a little bit longer. And then in that same video, I think I talk about how I flip the Senko over and do another setup to continue fishing with it. And then at some point I won't be able to fish with it. It'll come off, I'll lose it, or it'll get to the point where I need to cut it, and I use it as a Ned rig. Okay, here's some more call outs on fly tying, about using the tippet rings. I know there's the big debate about, oh, it's your knot versus a tippet ring. Learn to tie the knot. You don't need a tippet ring. Oh, the tippet ring is going to make the dry fly sink. Whole bunch of discussion. And what it comes down to for yours truly, Average Joe, is I like using tippet rings because I can use the fly leader that I use. In this case, I use a do-it-yourself knotted leader. Make my own, and I put a tippet ring on the end, and I can use that one pretty much the whole season. And then all I'm doing is just replacing the tippet portion, tying onto that tippet ring, and I can continue fishing. It's quicker for me to do that also, instead of having to re-tie using a blood knot, barrel knot, etc. So yeah, I like tippet rings. Will it bring a dry fly down? Well, they have this really small tippet ring, and you can put enough line on there that there's not going to be an issue, or tippet line, extended away from the tippet, that you're not going to have any issue with fishing a dry fly. I've used it with size 20, 22 dry flies, and a tippet ring ain't making it go under. The small one though, don't get the big one. Get the bigger one if you're going to be using it for, let's say, some striped bass, like I do when I'm hitting up the tail race up at Denison, doing some switch rod casting, fishing. Okay, calling out the super dupers. Did a little video there about super dupers. Well, guess what? That's what you want to be using here in the trout stocking season. Fish bites, called out fish bites. My hat. There's a hat I like using when I go kayak fishing. Don't have to worry about putting a whole bunch of sunscreen on my face and whatnot, or my neck. Keeps me from getting burnt. Shifting again back to some more nice how-tos and whatnot, as well as fishing local areas. Pond fishing, some call-outs on the Panther Martin. Inline spinners. Did make a run to Oklahoma, Lower Illinois River, because, you get the bite. You get the trout bite where you just want to catch some trout, and you go for it. So Lower Illinois River and the Beaver's Bend are two year-round trout stocking or trout fisheries in Oklahoma, which for us, the Lower Illinois, from here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, take you about maybe 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours to get up there. Beaver's Bend, about maybe 3 hours, at least from here at the Allen area. So you're able to catch some trout year-round while you're waiting for the Blue to open up, which the Blue River is currently open. There's some trout being had, getting stocked every week up until the March time frame. So if you're getting the trout fishing bug, you definitely want to go there and give it a try. They've got that catch and release section too that works out really well if you want to catch some of the bigger size bass, or correction, trout. And then well, you can always try living out here at the local trout stockings. I did post the fun with spreadsheets on our blog, cityofallenfishing.blogspot.com, and in there you can see how I took the Texas Parks and Wildlife trout stocking schedule and I posted it, or remodified it so it lists everything chronologically for the areas being stocked. But do check their site for the latest trout stocking because things change, especially since I posted it back in November. So for the remainder of the year, it's mainly talking or prepping for trout stocking season. I do have a video out where I'm talking about the catch and keep rig, the right bobbin. Additionally, back to some micro fly rods. Well, someone called out again more information on the micro fly rod, so I posted that. And then, well, guess what? I decided to go ahead and get one of those Orvis Clearwater fly rods because I was listening to Tom Rosenbauer's Orvis podcast, and they were calling out the a 10-foot 3-weight Euro nymphing setup. And guess what I found? A 10-weight or 10-foot 3-weight Euro nymphing setup that I could also use for normal fly fishing. And so I picked that up over there at the store in Plano, Orvis, and I've got that one all rigged up. So I've used it several times this season. Been really happy with it. Hit up Turner Falls using the that setup with a Euro nymph shorty. All right. So what's cool about that one is I can take the OPST Skagit head, the shooting head that I have, undo it, and I can put the Euro nymph rig and start fishing that shorty rig Euro nymph style. And for those conditions, at least where I was fishing over there, the Blue Hole up at Turner Falls in Oklahoma, I was using that Euro nymphing technique by watching the indicator or the line indicator where the color changes on the leader and watching for those strikes. Very subtle, and hey, it worked perfect for fishing that those conditions where I'm not having to cast far. The fish are lurking in the little run or waterfally area that I'm in, and man, I was able to catch a few. That was fun. Check it out. I think I did call it out. Rio, Euro nymph, and shorty, and the Orvis Clearwire rod. All right. Okay, shifting over, Guggen Squad micro crankbait. Oh. Okay, so for Christmas, I think it was the year before, someone signed me up for the mystery tackle box, and in there I kept getting these different lures and whatnot to include this Guggen Squad micro crankbait, and it just sat for the longest time, and then I decided, hey, maybe I'll just try this little micro crankbait at the local pond and give it a little field test. And guess what? It works. And what's even nicer is I can do it ultralight bait casting, no problem. So that's what I was doing there. Calling out more for those that are YouTube creators and have their own YouTube channel. Just calling out the GoPro rig that I'm using. And in this case, it's a, let's see. Okay. So instead of having a chest harness, there's this magnetic little loop thing that you can put around your neck. It's got a little magnetic holder deal, but it clicks in place securely your GoPro. That one I like having because I can just quickly throw that on and hit a pond and do some fishing and get some of that video. So that's where I'm just showing up your game. All right. The good thing about that rig is it also has the same attachments and whatnot that you can put your phone there if you'd like to use your phone. So check that out. If you're into videoing and capturing some of your live feeds and whatnot, give that one a try. All right, back to the cork strike indicator. Be ready for light strikes. So that was just again a reminder that use the smallest strike indicator that will hold your fly at the depth you desire, and be ready for those light strikes. And this was a past fishing trip that I took up in Rockwall, local pond. I was able to catch them, and there were just these light strikes, and I set the strike as soon as I had the indication of a trout there. And then guess what? This last trip where I went to the Blue River, and it was really, really cold. In fact, my rod guides were icing. It was a perfect example of that light strike. I could barely see a movement or indication of a strike. But when I did see it, I went ahead and set the hook, and most times I had a fish on the end of it. So be ready for those light strikes. All right. Okay, let's shift to the next one. Okay, so again, more call outs for the year. I did hit up the Blue River and got our first trout limit for 2023-2024 season. This is back in early November. I think it was the first or second week after they stocked. Did a little call out on before you fish the Blue River. Check out this video. This is one where I'm just showing some key information that others have shared, where you walk the barrels north of the used crossing area and fish that area and kind of key off some of those areas. Additionally, some more on different pond fishing, the setups that I've used over the years. Additionally, mixing it up with my fishing buddy. He tends to, instead of using a fly rod reel setup, he likes the ultralight spinning gear, and he was using Super Dupers. OPST commando head when your back cast is clobbered. This is just another reminder of how versatile it is when you're using the OPST commando head or a shooting head to up your game, being able to get a switch cast or roll cast with very little back cast room. No need to worry about it. Other cases I'm showing, I think I did it was a water load where I'm taking the shooting head and casting it behind me over the shoulder, over my off shoulder, letting the current kind of pull it back, and then I'm going forward and I'm able to take it under this underhang where a bunch of stuff was keeping me from casting normally, and I was able to catch fish. All right, reminder of fish bites. The moisturizer is a great dry fly floatant. Okay, so Aquaphor, Carmex. I've used both of those as an emergency. Just happened to have them on me because it's cold, lips are chapping. And then I did get a call out from one viewer when he saw the ice on my rod guides in one of my videos. He mentioned, hey, chapstick, putting it on there also keeps the ice from forming on your rod guide. So keep that in your back pocket. I'll have to try that. Okay. Let's see. Made that trip to Turner Falls, and they stocked it again this year. What was different is I've fished Turner Falls over the years, and in this case they stocked it a little bit further down where you could actually fish one of these popular swimming holes, the Blue Hole, at Turner Falls. So it's closer to the entrance of the gate, or entrance to Turner Falls up in Oklahoma, and fished that one, and hey, it was fun. Saw some nice stuff out there. Again, calling out the Rio Euronym Shorty and the leader that I was using for that trip. Talking to the Reddington Classic Trout. So I get a lot of questions about this time of year about what rod, reels, and what not to use. And what I typically point to is those that are first starting out with a in fly fishing is one, if you don't have a lot to spend, there are a couple of options. You can go discount. In fact, I tried out the Martin fly fishing combo that was on sale for under $30 and picked up one of those and fished it. Got some pointers there on what you should do to prep it for some fly fishing. It's a level line, so you got to learn a little bit difference there, but it's a good starter one if you don't want to spend a lot of bucks, but just want to get the feel of if I'm going to like it. And if you continue, you can just upgrade the line, even put a shooting head on there, and you'll be surprised what it'll do for you. Or you can say, I'll spend a little bit more. My budget's a little bit more, maybe $100-$200. You should be able to pick up some decent combos at any of the outlets, be it Cabela's, Bass Pro, Orvis. They got some discount options available to you. Me personally, I have a Reddington Classic Trout rod, 5-weight, that I tended to gravitate to. I've got a bunch of other rods, fly rods, as well as other rods, but over the years I tended to use that one more often than not, at the 5-weight. I think the only reason why I went up to a 6-weight, and it was a TFO, there was one year a striped bass took me at Denison and just spooled me. I couldn't turn him. It just ran to the rocks and wrapped me and broke off the line. And I pulled, it doubled over and it still wouldn't turn. So I was like, let me go with a 6-weight. So I went to the 6-weight and I haven't had any issues yet. But it's kind of weird. I went to a 3-weight Euro nymphing 10-footer, and I don't think it'll hold whatever broke off that 5-weight. So I think I better bring a heavier fly rod if I'm going to hit that portion of the river again for those striped bass. Anyways, getting off subject, let's go back to 2023 and some other things that we did to recap our happenings in 2023. So again, I'm calling out different things: the dust mop fly, the no tangle replacement net. I made a do-it-yourself wooden net that I used some molding material that you get at Home Depot, kind of bent it and made it into a nice net. And then I tried making my own netting for it, some kind of plastic lacing, and it didn't work so well. So I just went ahead and on Amazon and picked up one of these replacement trout nets and attached them to the wooden rod or wooden net, and it's worked 3 seasons now. No issues. I like it. Simple, easy, simple patterns for trout limits. Calling that out. Here's this. I got into this hand line where you make your own hand lines. That's one. Stay tuned for more on that one. I'm playing around with that one still. Striped bass on the fly. Here's a case where I was using that 5-weight and I caught a nice size striped bass, 29-inch, brought him in, but that was also where I broke me off. And then I went to the 6-weight. Okay, great combo. This is the OPC Commando head and the Max Catch shoot. Oh, so I got an OPST Commando head, shooting head, and you can use laser line. It's a monofilament shooting line that allows you to just shoot off, very slick. You can get a lot more distance with it. But I tend to shift over to a shooting line that's coated more like a fly line. And you can pick one of those up. It's the Max Catch one. They go for like $8. I use that one and have no issues with it. Still feel like I'm fly fishing, not having to worry about that laser line as much. So, but I still use the laser line on a couple of fly rods as well as all the switch rods that I have because, well, I want to be able to cast pretty far with those switch rods. Okay, more recently, got the squirmy worm. Oh yeah. I just posted that one like yesterday, and had a great call out from one individual saying, "Hey, take your squirmy worm, use it as a tail basically, and for a nymph body." So I was thinking of, hey, maybe I'll try a Gold Ribs Hair's-Ear nymph body and put that tail on there. But then I had a lot of this extra line. It's that ultraviolet yarn that I used to make the Blue River Producer fly. And I was like, wait a minute, maybe I'll just tie one of those. And I did. I tied them, and guess what? I'm going to hopefully try them out sometime sooner than later to see how these go. So I've got the Blue River Producer fly. I know that catches fish. Now I take the yarn of the Blue River Producer fly, add this squirmy worm tail to it, put a little grizzly hackle on there, and I think the trout are going to want that one. So keep that in your back pocket there. Okay, that is all for 2023. I know I've been on here for a while, and I don't want to bore you anymore, but I do appreciate all joining. And do stay tuned in 2024 as yours truly continues on with our motto, with the City of Allen Fishing Field Team, COAF Field Team. Learn to fish by our trials and errors. We're just average Joes out there fishing. And oh, by the way, we restarted our podcast. We're calling it the Real Cast Fishing Podcast. And feel free to send us questions, send us, make comments and whatnot. And I'll reach out as need be to get you some answers. So with that, all for now. Next time, we'll catch y'all later. And good luck and good fishing.